Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. In this video, I'll be documenting my attempt to grow a pumpkin with Kratky Hydroponics. I tried this last fall on the channel and we almost pulled it off. I had 2 small pumpkins growing, but was forced to cut down the plant early as it was overrun with powdery mildew. So let's get into this grow. I'm putting my pumpkin seeds on top of these Grodan cubes, which I have fully saturated in tap water. Pumpkin seeds don't have the greatest germination rates, so you can see I'm using a lot of seeds here. I'm going to seal this container up and put it in the dark. By day 3, we had a pair of seeds germinate. I'm going to maneuver them so that their roots fall down into these Grodan cubes. This will help them to sprout upright as they start to grow. I put the container back in the dark and we rejoin these plants on day 5. It looks like only 2 of these seeds are going to germinate, but those seedlings are starting to grow pretty quick. We can see a number of roots branching out and beginning to anchor these plants into their Grodan cubes. I'm going to move these cubes into net cups and reservoirs where they'll be partially submerged in water. There's enough nutrients in most seeds to support a young plant for 2 weeks or so. I like to wait a bit before providing nutrients to my plants, as the root systems will really stretch themselves out looking for that nutrition which isn't there. By day 10, we can see that these root structures have absolutely exploded. This is going to give them a great head start as we move them into a new reservoir with nutrients mixed in. I'm going straight into a 5-gallon bucket, which will be the final home of this plant. I have this plant in a southern facing window where it gets direct sunlight in the morning and early afternoon. My grow light supplies additional lighting through the late afternoon and nighttime. Checking in on day 19, this plant has grown considerably. The leaves are starting to get pretty large and we have a number of flowers starting. I pruned a few of the small side vines which were beginning to grow to force this plant to focus on its primary vine. Our root system is a nice, healthy white color, and the pH of our reservoir is in range. Everything seems to be smooth sailing at this point, and I decided it was time to go ahead and move this plant out onto the balcony. I wanted to get this plant outside where the extra space and wind will help keep away the powdery mildew that I had on my last pumpkin plant. This plant continued to grow strong with the main vine really extending itself. The tendrils on this plant were really going wild, stretching around looking for something to grab onto. We joined the plant here again on day 26 and I'm super happy with the progress so far. We do have a bit of leaf damage, which I think is caused from the wind, but the plant should be able to overcome that. Looking inside of our reservoir, the root system looks fantastic. Lots of growth here, and it's still a really vibrant white. I've added some more water and nutrients to top up the reservoir, and everything's good from a pH perspective. On day 27, things started to get a little out of hand. It rained most of the day and was super windy out on the balcony. The plant was looking a little bit sad, but surviving. On day 28, that rain turned into snow. We're days away from June, but that's Canada for you. So I brought this plant inside to help it out. You can see it did take a bit of damage. Some of these leaves are in pretty rough shape. That said, the plant did seem to rejuvenate throughout the rest of the day. I ultimately kept the plant inside for another day or 2, waiting for the temperatures outside to rise. By midweek 5, we were back outside and the plant seemed to be growing again. We have a few leaves that have completely died and others with damage. I opted to cut off any part of the plant which I didn't think would recover. The good news though is we have new growth again, including our first female flower taking shape. You can see this ovary at the base of the stem, and this is where we'll be able to get a pumpkin. I've also needed to change out the reservoir as it was running super low and what was in there was really dirty. In week 6, I continued to prune the plant, cutting off new young vines so the plant would focus on the female flowers it already had. In late week 6, we had some really hot, humid weather, and the plant seemed to be struggling with it. You can see the leaves here are looking a bit limp. The next day, this plant had its first male flower bloom, which I took as a sign of good health. The reservoir pH was beginning to creep up, but I was able to rebalance it. Then, much to my surprise, about a day and a half later, this plant was pretty much dead. It seems to have given up on itself, and it's an unfortunate end to my second hydroponic pumpkin attempt. Not too sure what happened, but I don't think the fluctuating temperatures and humidity helped out much. If you have any ideas as to what might have happened here, I'd love to hear them in the comment section. Third time's a charm, so I'm going to give pumpkins another shot next summer. Until then, thanks for watching. Smash that thumbs up button and happy harvesting!